Hello there everybody, Chrane here, and I have been wanting to do this video for a long time. These are the top 7 evils, as in Diablo and all of his siblings. My top 7 listing of who's the worst and who's the coolest. Okay, here we go. On number 7, we have Doriel. My biggest problem with Doriel is that there's no story about him at all in the game. He's just there. No one mentions him. He just shows up out of nowhere. Sure, he has this point where he actually switches sides and leaves the lesser evils and joins Diablo and to defend Diablo and Belial when they leave the Tomb of Tal Rasha. But we're never told anything about it in the game. When you kill him, he's never mentioned again, not even by Doriel right after the battle. That's why he's my least favorite out of all the evils. Number 6 is Doriel. Now, first of all, you get informed she exists. You know what she's doing in the catacombs. She switches sides and aids Diablo, just like Doriel, but we actually find out about it. Like, they actually gave her some real character development, which is weird for a big boss like that, but they actually did, and the rogues are actually scared of her. And one final cool thing, she turns the rogue from Diablo 1 into Bloodraven. Fun fact. And that's why she's not the worst one, because she's actually got character as compared to Doriel, who's just a big beetle. Number 5. Azmodan is the best thing to ever happen to Heroes of the Storm, but he's pretty mediocre in the Diablo games. I don't care for his design. I don't care for the way he's portrayed. He's kind of stupid, but he thinks he's so fucking smart. No, I don't get the appeal. He keeps taunting you in Act 3. Like some cartoon villain, he keeps popping up and just taunting you, thinking he will win, which I think is so cartoonish and stupid. His one defining trait is that he leads a giant army. Good for you, man, good for you. He's the last evil to be defeated, so I guess that's cool. And he's also hellbent on being the prime evil himself instead of Diablo, which I guess is kind of cool. I don't care for the primeval stuff, but I guess I guess that's cool. He's just a non-smart version of Belial. He's like the same design, he's just bigger and dumber. Number 4 is Belial, the brain of the lesser evils. I mean, he thinks he's responsible for the greater evils being banished from the 7 hells during the Dark Exile, even though Mephisto played them all. But he thinks he planned this, which means that he put a lot of time and effort into actually planning it, even though they were prepared for it. He plays Azmodan like a fiddle with a giant army. Like, he knows exactly what buttons to push for Azmodan to do exactly what Belial wants. Belial even takes the form of a child to fool you. I mean, it doesn't work, but it was obvious as hell, but still, he goes so far as to take control over a child's body just to fool you, and that's insane. Essentially, he's the less graphic version of Mephisto, if you really think about it. And now, with the lesser evils out of the way, let's go into the let's say the greater part of the video. Number 3 is Diablo. Now you might ask, why the hell is the title character in 3rd place? Like, what the hell is this? Well, he's actually my least favorite of the great evils. He's the youngest, the most generic, in my head at least. I'm well aware that we wouldn't have these games without the Tristram storyline, which I love. Here's why he's not, top 2. He's got a great design, and for younger players, he looks terrifying, at least in Diablo 1 and 2. And in Diablo 2, his whole storyline was basically, chasing a ghost, which was really cool. A scary story until you actually went into the cracks of Pandemonium and fought him one final time. And then came the Primeval. Diablo would have been much higher on the list if the Primeval never happened. I still don't even really count the Primeval as Diablo per se, because to me it's a whole separate thing. However, they always tie it to Diablo in that he passed the torch to his daughter to be his new vessel as the Primeval. And the fact that every time they mention it or you mouse over the boss, it clearly states Diablo. And I personally think that Blizzard goofed on that one. Number 2. Now we're talking. The mastermind of masterminds, Mephisto. He planned for him and his brothers to be banished from the Seven Hells just so they could walk Sanctuary to get captured by the Horadrim. He told them how to get captured and how to spend their time while captured in the Soulstones, and how to corrupt the Worldstone using their Soulstone prisons. This guy, like, he knows stuff. He spent centuries corrupting the Zakarum from within their own Temple of Light. He whispered into Lazarus' ear and made him convince King Leoric to move to Tristram in order for Diablo to be awakened. This, as you know, worked out perfectly as Diablo came back in the form of the Dark Wanderer, met up with Belial, and the two of them came to the temple and released Mephisto. Perfect planning. He also has a really disgusting design that was just so, like, it was it had such a gothic and demonic vibe. It was perfect. It was so Diablo in a way. The first 2 games looked really dark and gritty, and when I say dark, I'm not just talking about a filter. The atmosphere and the feeling of helplessness and disgust was all over the first 2 games, and Mephisto's design encapsulates that perfectly. Number 1, Belial. Torbelos, or just Belial. There's so much done right with this character. Let me throw some lore at you. The fact that he's sitting with Marius through the entire second game until revealing his true identity blew my mind when I first played the game. The fact that they had actually met before, when Marius pulled the Soulstone shard out of his chest in Tal Rasha's tomb. Oh. And the story of the game being told from Marius' perspective, with the heroes close behind them and Belial just sitting there, gathering all the information he can. After Marius released him, he joined Diablo and freed Mephisto from the Zakarum Temple. The best part? Both of them looked human. Diablo as the Dark Wanderer and Belial as Tal Rasha. Brilliant. He then took part in opening the portal to Pandemonium, and once Diablo entered, Belial left and Mephisto stayed behind to guard the portal. Belial was to go north and corrupt the Worldstone, but he needed his Soulstone in order to corrupt it, and therefore had to find Marius. He posed as Tyrael and listened to Marius retelling the game's story, and once he told him of Diablo's defeat and destruction of the Soulstones, he handed the shard over to Belial, believing it was Tyrael. Belial killed him after making him feel like a fool for even believing Tyrael would visit him. He then gathered his army and marched to the gates of Sescheron on Mount Ariet. His army butchered the barbarians, and he actually made his way into the Worldstone chamber. He fused the Shard of Destruction with the Worldstone. All the strife and horror that had been accumulated within the shard began to spread through the Worldstone. Sure, the heroes defeated him, but he basically succeeded. He corrupted the Worldstone and almost enslaved all of humanity and the power of the Nephilim. His actions forced Tyrael to destroy the Worldstone in order to save humanity. Belial is without a doubt my favorite of the 7 evils, since he's so unique and menacing. When he was to be captured by the Horadrim during the Dark Exile, his Soulstone was damaged and almost destroyed. I mean, some sources hint that Belial himself broke it, and some say it was Zoltan Kuhl who mishandled it. It's interesting to think that Belial would do that himself though, as that would mean that he might have had his own plans all along. But since things turned out the way they did, he went along with the original plan. I could easily see him being the wild card of the family. And the best part about his demonic design after being trapped in Tal Rasha, he still has Talrash's face on top of his own face. Which is disgusting. And so fucking cool. And that's why he's the best. I've been Chrane, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.